Scene by scene of a film which is also my favourite film of all time, along with whatever else I've said it was Alien, Brazil, Akira, King Kong. Here it is, Australia's own Mad Max 2 The Road Warrior, a sublime cinematic odyssey. I believe it was Pauline Kael, of all people, who claimed that this film's score is the most Jungian ever composed. Think about how it invokes all of the characters of the narrative and the respective themes and philosophies, ideals, which they embody. If you had never seen the film but heard this sequence of music, I imagine you might picture a saga not dissimilar to what unfolds in the subsequent film. Getting one so excited about the forthcoming feature, on a par with the magnificent Escape from New York, also of 1981 AD. Credit to Brian May, not of Queen. What a marvellous opening sequence, prologue, intro, glorious narration, outstanding use of stock footage, Vertov tier, superlative work. How did those Yanks who knew this as the Road Warrior perceive the footage of the first film contained within that opening prologue? I've said this about other films, I'm certain, though nothing gets me more excited for a film to commence than the opening credits and then this montage prologue. Now, this helicopter shot, what a master. Miller and Semler, geniuses. Such a superb opening moment, beautifully executed, demonstrating a monumental production, forward thinking yet wholly traditionally cinematic, harkening back to the silent era, Soviet editing, John Ford and Akira Kurosawa, feeding in with the boom of post Star Wars fantasy world building on screen. Sometimes it is overt and subtly obnoxious that an opening sequence features no dialogue. It is overtly evident, kind of annoyingly evidently, ironically, via a muted tense sound design. Yet with this film, this scene, without dialogue, it speaks so much beyond just a slick badass action sequence. You think it must have had dialogue in it because you learned so much during it. There is the interaction, Wes screaming, if you want to count that. So much world building and exposition visually doesn't get much better than this. Max is ambushed by Bruce Brents, the gyro captain, who is then ambushed by the finest canine in the history of the medium, definitely. First dialogue and character interaction, aside from Max and the dog, plus Max and Wes, briefly there, it is highly impactful. One of the more likable sequences, I was going to say one of the more likable sequences in the film, but they're all immensely likable, even, well, except the scenes which are melancholic by comparison, of course. I love this transition, well, who wouldn't? Max and the gyro captain observe the oil tanker colony transitioning into the night. Great way of introducing the dogs of war. We've met Wes already, of course, one of the most memorable henchmen of all time, surely. Traumatic sequence right here. Moments like just like this are vital in order to demonstrate both sides of violence and ruthless post apocalyptic warfare within an otherwise escapist fantasia, I feel. Max brings the survivor back to the outpost. This is an intensely memorable segment here. The greatest sequence of all time, except for maybe some of the others in this feature, Lord Humongous is likely my favourite villain of all. He's the most watchable, fascinating, casually nuanced, and bizarrely believable. Just walk away. Perfect. Gotta like the Feral Kid too, he's pretty classic. Max makes a deal, pretty nice transition. The Feral Kid helps Max navigate his way past the Dogs of War encampment. Reuniting with the Gyro Captain, locating and revving up that truck. Outstanding driving of the truck back to the colony, the finest Carchus action sequences up until this point in history. Only the later Fury Road might compete, I could suspect. And I love that nothing in Mad Max 2 is to be taken for granted. No one is invulnerable, everyone is injured or anticlimactically taken out of the plot via the harsh realities of post-apocalyptic life and warfare. The truck is severely damaged on the way back, because of course it would be. Max is brutally injured throughout the film, because of course he would be. He's not an invincible action man, he's just flesh and blood. There is no plot armor for anyone or anything in Mad Max 2, ever. Lord Humongous and the pistol is one of the most riveting moments in the entire score. What a sensational execution. Very human and concerning transition moment. Max and Gyro Captain at the Tango colony. Gyro Captain introduced to this group. Everyone loses faith in Max, dismissing him as an opportunist. Except the Gyro Captain, I suppose, obviously. 24 hours? You've got 12. Okay. Okay. Creepy nighttime display. What an unforgettable segment. One of my more favoured moments, they all are, is the Gyro Captain unsuccessfully attempting to persuade this younger lady to leave with him. Such a moving, uplifting moment, beautifully performed, of course. Attempting to convince Max to drive the rig, Papagello's philosophy is one of the best takeaways of the film. We have nothing left to lose, so why not hope? It secures everyone the best possible outcome versus a self-defeating pessimism. You think you're the only one who's suffered? You think you're the only one with trauma? You think you're the only one who's been tempted to and has used their trauma as a baton to just, abuse other people so that you might not get hurt again? Like, you think you're the only one who feels that way, and you're special just because you can wield your baton the hardest. Ooh, ooh, I've had it hard. Ooh, I'm the only person with trauma. Ooh, it gets nauseating after a while, because you know what? It's like it gets to a point we need to start having a no tolerance policy for people with PTSD to try and inflict their bullshit on others and say, oh, sorry, because of my trauma. It's like, no excuse, no tolerance. That's not good enough. It isn't. Sorry. I love the idea of Miller wanted to compose a sequel to this one and done exploitation bash Mad Max. What is Max's continuing adventures in the post-apocalyptic, post-nuclear war wasteland? What is his redemption saga? And we gotta give thanks to Terry Hayes and Brian Hannett as well, for sure, in helping Miller truly realize this in the best possible manner, I'd say. But still, grounded and explainable. Every action is an explanation. Every action is rooted in some tangible realism. Max is unable to escape from Wes and a dispatch of dogs of war. What a heartbreaking, brutal, bold, impactful sequence. One of the more melancholic in film history, I may claim. How uplifting then that the gyro captain goes to save him, his professed partner. Max cannot believe that someone might still save his life in this savage world, and so realizes that no, he cannot wallow in nihilism. There's no point to. Max offers to drive the tanker. Papagello relents in telling Max the truth of their strategy, is part of why he doesn't want Max to drive it, but he decides to go ahead with it anyway. The greatest action sequence of all time and a masterly ending. Max was tricked, and he is relieved about it. His first reaction is silent confusion at how the rig didn't just explode and kill everything around. Then he sees the sand, and he realizes that Papagello was more right and wiser than even he had come to understand. Mad Max 2 is the ultimate film about a place, that place being Australia, and humanity's narratival, aesthetic relationship with the place. Mad Max 2 conjoins the era of indigenous dreaming, mythological cycles, stories of heroes, trials and tragedies, with the ending era of Western civilization, long having colonised the Australian continent, is fated to eventually repeat the ancestor tales, or become them outright, of those they colonised. Time is not linear, but cyclical, here. Such a perfect, rewatchable, lovable film, undeniably. If one doesn't agree that it is the best film of all time, or even the best Australian film of all time, the enigmatic Centre Spread was released this same year, 1981, we can all agree that it is, perhaps, the best film of its kind. They talk about Raiders of the Lost Ark, Escape from New York, but no, Mad Max 2, as brilliant as those two films obviously are, Mad Max 2 is the finest of any. Let me know what you think. This is my tribute to a film I utterly adore. How could I not? Timeless, futurist, the creative philosophy behind Mad Max 2 is one of the most enviable in the history of all human art, plausibly.